Ants and man. Ants conquered the world 100 million years ago and have been successfully and aggressively defending their territory ever since. Ants range in size from less than a millimeter to 15 centimeters and lack lungs and blood vessels. Ants have colonized almost every landmass on Earth and form about 25% of the terrestrial animal biomass, just like humans. It is estimated that there are 1,000 trillion to 10,000 trillion ants alive on Earth at any one time. Their success in so many environments can be attributed to collectively working together by communicating and sharing knowledge of their environment and spreading their dominion over vast distances, just like man and corals do. Despite all the obvious differences, ants and people have a lot in common. Like man, when ants cooperate, they can move mountains and make highways through jungles. Most ants communicate mainly with their highly developed sense of smell. They leave a minuscule chemical trail as a track that others follow. A milligram of the chemical is enough to make a trail that goes 60 times around the earth. Unlike with man and sheep, there is no leadership telling the ants what to do and where to go. The more ants that follow the trail, the more chemical is left on the trail. Choices as to where to go for food is decided by a chemical democracy. Even death is determined by smell. When ants die, they emit a smell of death that causes the living ants to remove them from the nest. Some ants are hunters, while others are farmers. Some ants settle and make complex city-like structures up to 8 meters deep under the ground, causing the excavation of up to 40 tons of earth. In human scales, this is like digging tunnels 1 kilometer deep and building structures as big as the Great Wall of China. Other ant species remain nomads and live in trees. Some can even live underwater. Ants modify habitats, tap resources, and defend themselves. They form colonies ranging from a few dozen to a few million. The colonies are actually single mom families, with the one and only mom called the queen, and her many sons and daughters called drones and workers. The mother lays an egg every 3 seconds, and she can lay as many as 200 million eggs in her 20 to 30 year lifespan. The eggs hatch in less than a week. She selectively fertilizes eggs with the sperms she collected on her nuptial flight. Most of the eggs are fertilized and become sterile daughters whose only purpose in their 1 to 3 year lifespan is to be workers. 1 or 2 of the fertilized eggs, depending on how they are fed, turn, like Cinderella's, into fertile winged virgin queens. Some eggs are not fertilized and become fertile sons called drones. The fertile drones and fertile virgin queens, as well as the mother queen, stay in the nest for about a month and are taken care of by the sterile workers who feed and wash them. The only purpose of the drones and the virgin queens is to wait till they are called out to participate in the nuptial flight. Then, the drones and winged queens of other neighboring colonies fly to a designated place at a designated time where they meet and mate. On this very special day of love, high up in the air, the flying sperm machines impregnate the winged virgin queens who are hopefully from other colonies. The virgin queens become flying sperm banks holding 20 to 30 years worth of sperm from 3 or more males. Once the males ejaculate, they explode in an orgasm and die. The virgin queens, filled with sperm, land and shed their wings and try to find and found a place and form their own colonies before they are eaten by the birds that are waiting for them. Only 1 in a million new queens survive and successfully start new colonies. Tens of thousands of years ago, man turned from a hunter and a gatherer into a farmer and was able to settle and to found civilizations. The ants turned into farmers 50 million years ago. Just like growing cows in a barn or growing mushrooms underground, a ventilation system is needed to drain the carbon dioxide produced and to circulate fresh oxygenated air needed for the growing. A division of labor also has to be organized. The smallest workers stay in their nest, tending the mushroom gardens and feeding and cleaning their mother, their brothers, and their Cinderella sisters. The larger workers carry the grass that even the larger ones cut. The biggest workers, who are 300 times bigger than the smallest, serve as soldiers protecting the colony. Ants are the only known animals, other than man, that domesticate other animals for their use. Just like humans feed cattle grass to obtain protein, some ants harvest grass which they cannot digest and cut it into small pieces to serve as compost for the mushrooms, which provides them with digestible food. They are such good foragers that they compete with cattle. Colonies can forage nearly half a ton of grass a year. Other species of ants specialize in herding insects and milking them of their honeydew, just like humans herd cattle and milk them of their milk. Certain caterpillars of the butterfly family are herded by certain ants, led into feeding areas in the daytime and brought inside the nest at night. The caterpillars have a gland which secretes honeydew when the ants massage them. Other species of ants are meat eaters, eating more meat than all other meat eaters combined on Earth. A colony can consume 10 million insects in a single year. Some plants and animals use species of ants to ensure their own survival. Plants in fire-prone grassland systems are particularly dependent on ants to carry and dispense their seeds safely below the ground. Ants are known for their superb strength. Some species can support 100 times their own weight while standing upside down on glass. Other species can close their jaws in 130 microseconds, the fastest recorded movement for any animal. Others can bite through and cut leather. Some termites form associations with certain ant species and use them as a security force to keep away predatory ant species. Ants are able to effectively protect their territory either by stinging venom, spraying formic acid, or biting and tearing enemies apart like a well-trained army till they have killed their enemy. Against floods, they have developed ingenious methods, from wedging holes together with their bodies for hermetically sealing holes in their nests, to joining together their bodies to form lifeboats that can float for a few months, and even collectively drinking the water from their flooded nests and peeing it outside to drain them. Alone, ants are like neuron cells, but together in a colony, they are like a brain. Sometimes the colonies are described as superorganisms because the ants appear to operate as a unified entity, collectively working together to support the colony. Ant societies have division of labor, communication between individuals, and an ability to solve complex problems. Many animals learn behaviors by imitation, but ants may be the only group apart from mammals where interactive teaching has been observed. As similar as ants are to humans, they have major differences that will ensure that they will survive us when and if we become extinct. They have altruism instead of egoism. They lack humor, freedom, and individuality, and they lack a satisfactory, long, enjoyable sex life.